In this video, I am going to show you exactly how it is that we are able to cut those straight lines with a brush without needing any tape. Hi, my name is Remy Bristle. I'm a licensed painter, color consultant, owner of Expressionist Painting, and founder of Expressionist Painting University. This right here is the paintbrush that we use. Now, I'm showing this because I'm sure many are going to be asking. The paintbrushes that we primarily use is from a brand here in Canada. It's called Zachary Brushes. The one specific that we use is a Royal 2.5-inch sash. Now, before I even get into everything that I'm going to talk about in this video, I want to say that we really love these brushes, but I am not paid by the company to say anything nice or bad about them. This is of my own free will. We love those brushes. The company sent them to us years ago to test out, and we fell in love with them. Now, having said that, the paintbrush does not make the painter, okay? So I do want to make that clear. Just like, you know, Sidney Crosby, as one of the best hockey players in the world, is not good because of the particular hockey stick he uses. However, he does have his preference, I'm sure, just like anyone has certain tools in whatever trades that you like, and the tools can help, but they aren't necessarily what allows a painter, in this case, to be able to do the straight lines. What I find is a lot more important is to understand the mechanic. And so as you watch me paint the first, cut in the first coat in this office that I'm painting to showcase how to use a brush and how to cut straight lines, I'm going to fill you in on a lot of the knowledge or information to hopefully, if you are a painter out there, you can see what is possible and have a better understanding of how to really utilize this powerful tool. Gino and I both do all the cutting in without needing the tape, and honestly, once you get to this kind of level of mastery, the quality that you can get out of just using paper is actually better than what you could do even if you use the tape, because applying tape on a corner that's a little bit crooked or the caulking is thick in some areas and not so much in others is an art form in itself, and not as simple as most people might think, where, you know, it might seem definitely harder than the brush, but it's still not a guarantee that you're going to end up with some clean straight lines. So I am not hating on anyone who uses the tape to do straight lines. If you have a system that works great for you and your clients, go for it. I love it. Just continue focusing on the end result for you and your clients. But I am intending to help painters who may not think that it's possible, or homeowners who may not think that it's possible if they've seen a painter use tape and others not, fearing that maybe one's going to be better than the other. It has nothing to do. It's more about the ability using whichever system the person is using. But in our case, where we do not need the tape, the end result, meaning like getting to the finish line, is a lot faster. Like me and Gino can get through the painting of a house really fast, to the point where most clients are absolutely blown away to the quality and the efficiency we were able to complete their project. So now onto the brush. Okay, if I open this up here, and just want to show you that typically the end of the bristles are feathered out and kind of broke into smaller pieces. And to kind of give you an illustration, if you imagine my arm here as being a single bristle, this spreading of my fingers here like this is kind of like the way that each single little bristle fans out at the end. What this does is that it reduces the pressure that every single bristle puts on the film, allowing you to have the final millimeter or two of the painting you're doing be very consistent and even. And so if we're talking about a paint project that's going to take 2 coats, let's say, that final 1 millimeter is actually covered properly to the 2-coat level with only 1 coat, based on this, okay? Because of this fact that the paint bristles are very thin towards the end. Now, the other thing that I'll explain about the paint bristles, in a lot of cases, people think that painters who are able to cut straight lines must have surgeon-like precision. And that's not the case. Of course, if you are able to have the mechanics to keep your arm running straight, that definitely helps. But understanding the physics of how the bristles bend and hold themselves into the corner. Now, this is where it changes for most people. Now, just first of all, notice how it is that I dip, okay, and that you into the can, and then you'll notice that there's quite a bit of paint on top of the bristles inside, like the brush is fully primed. See that, again, that's the same term that we use whether we're talking about roller or brush. We are priming the brush, meaning filling all of the layers of where the bristles are full of paint, so that when we dip and add paint to this, it's the top layer that's going to release, and there's going to be the majority of the paint inside that's going to keep the space within those bristles full. Whereas if you imagine that your brush is empty of paint in the middle, as you try to spread the paint, it's just going to try to work its way inside the bristles, leaving almost no paint to apply onto the wall. So that's why before you start cutting with precision, you want to make sure your brush is fully primed in the middle. And we typically do that by starting in corners where there's really no precision painting that needs to be done at that stage. But by the time we get to the ceilings or the baseboards or the edges of the frames, that's where you really want to make sure your brush is fully primed. So now, with the bend of the bristles, the analogy that I often give people is if you imagine having a long cane with some flex in it, and you take that cane and you imagine you have a long hallway, you're walking down that long hallway, and you put that cane into the corner where the wall and the ceiling meet, and then you leave a bit of a flex in that cane, like so there's a bit of a pressure holding the cane into that corner. Now, with holding that cane, whether you move slightly closer to the wall or slightly away, as long as there's still that bend in that cane, it's going to hold the corner. It's going to hold the line. Well, if you imagine the paintbrush is the exact same logic, except you have thousands of little canes, those little bristles that are bending and holding that corner, as long as the corner is nice and square and that you apply the proper pressure. So this is the key. It's to working with a bristle where the bend of the bristle works with your style. That's why it's not one paintbrush that's the best for everyone or for every product or for everything. You need to figure out the combination of the products that you typically work with, your style as a painter, and match that with a bristle that works well with your style. For us, like I said, it's the Zachary brushes that work really well. Don't get me wrong. You give me a cheap $2 brush, I can probably still cut some straight lines. It's just going to take maybe a bit more time and be a bit more frustrating, but it can still be done. Okay, so, but now another thing too is to try to hold a nice straight line to keep in mind is the amount of paint that you put on. If you can do longer strides versus tiny short strides, it's going to be a lot harder to maintain the straightness in your arm and cutting if you have some flow going. So the kind of analogy that I've given in the past regarding this is if you imagine driving a bicycle, it's a lot easier to go straight if you're going fast versus trying to keep a straight line if you're going very slow, barely moving. Like you're gonna shift and twist and turn along the way if you end up doing that. But kind of same logic applies here. Once you get a certain momentum going, actually the faster you go, the better it is. So I did mention that walls are not perfect in most cases. So this is where being able to work the brush effectively allows you to create straight lines, even if it means creating a bit of illusions compared to what you might be able to do with with some tape. So in a lot of cases, especially as you come to the top of a ceiling or where the two pieces of baseboard meet, depending on how old the house is or how well the caulking was done in the past, those ridges might be very rounded. So instead of a nice square corner, it's very rounded. And so it's there that you really pick kind of like, you need to pick whether you're going to be at the bottom of the ridge or the top of the ridge. And this is something I've said before in a past video, and a lot of people had questions about what I meant with regards to that. Well, if you imagine, let's say, I'm going to bring it to the screen now, to me. So if you imagine a perfectly square ceiling to wall joint, okay, then your bristle is going to fit neatly into that corner perfectly. Now, when I say rounded, I mean like if, let's say, the corner is a little bit rounded off, either by the accumulation of paint or whatnot, you need to decide if you're going to be finishing your cut line at the top of that curve or at the bottom of that curve. And the difference, this is where you need to be conscious about how the room or the space is going to be viewed as. So if you imagine you're in a tall two-story entrance, for instance, and the ceiling, when you're down here, you're going to see the ceiling, okay? So if you somehow decide to go at the top of that ridge, when you're viewing the paint from down here, well, you're going to see the paint on the ceiling. Whereas if you went at the bottom of the ridge, when you're down here, you're going to see that, oh, no, there's no paint on the ceiling. But is it too low, right? So if you're at the top of the stairway and you're looking there, are you going to see the ceiling paint go down here, down too low onto the wall, right? So it's those things where in a lot of cases, you need to create illusions and making judgment calls based on the area, how severe the curve is, or things like that. So there's a lot of experience required here, and in some cases too, you may need to involve the client as far as, hey, I can either make it look better this way if you view it from here, or if do you have a preference, or maybe you kind of do a judgment call based on your past experience of what you've seen. That's typically what we will do. We've been around for quite a while now, and we know typically what's the best approach to do things. But that's the thing, is if you are heavily relying on the tape to create those straight lines, it's going to be a lot harder to make those decisions, because it's going to be tough to, well, it's a little bit difficult to explain, but when you're putting tape, you're kind of hiding the contrasting part, like the baseboard, and it's one of those things where you almost need to see it after the first coat. So that's typically like what we'll do. We do the nice straight cutting in with the first coat, and then at the end, when it's all said and done, we kind of see what's not looking great because of those heavy curves or things like that. So then we'll correct a few illusions here and there that are not looking that great. Whereas if you have the tape, you're not aware of that until it's all said and done, and you pull that tape, and then that's you're left kind of with what you have. So there's a lot of benefits doing it the way that we do, because in a lot of cases, like I said, in the repaints, it's not like you're building a new house from scratch where everything is new. You're starting off with fresh corners. In repaints, there's usually a lot of coats of paint that have been put. There's a lot of different people who have worked in the house, and so you kind of have to deal with the situation that you are there now and make that look as best as you can, and using the paintbrush is definitely a good way. Being able to do so, I mean, without the tape is definitely an advantage. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how we roll the final coat, because as you can tell, the walls were already rolled in this video because of an illusion that I talked about earlier. And so if you haven't watched that yet, I'll put the screenshot here of that video so that you know what to look for if you want to go to our YouTube or social medias to look for that, or our main website. But in the next video, I'm going to show you basically the difference on how we finish the final coat with regards to painting a room. So we're going to talk about sanding, cutting in, and rolling.